let's discuss all of this now with Gulru Gezer. She's joining us from here in Istanbul, and she's a retired Turkish diplomat. Gulru, thank you so much for joining us on this news hour. We really appreciate your time. Now, we are hearing that Iranian and EU diplomats are expected to meet on Friday. Is that a good indication that there is still room for diplomacy here to put an end to this conflict?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I have cautious optimism, but I don't think at this moment something will really come out of tomorrow's talks. Because if Trump or the West believe that, diplomacy could achieve any results, we wouldn't have seen what happened in the past week or so. Because under normal circumstances, the U.S. and Iranian delegations were to meet on the 15th of June on Sunday. And suddenly and unexpectedly, Israel struck Iran on Friday. So I think I am still optimistic. I am a former diplomat. I believe in diplomacy more than ever now. But I think it will only buy time for Iran and buy time for President Trump to make up his mind, frankly speaking.
As someone who has worked in diplomacy, there's often, of course, so much that happens behind the scenes that we as the public are certainly not aware of. Since this all started, the actual attacks on Friday last week, can you take us through what some of those conversations between leaders and various ministers could have looked like? Because this, of course, is not just Israel and Iran, it's every country in the region, particularly Iran's neighbors like Turkey.
Correct. I think we are at a very critical juncture because this is exactly what you've said. It's not about only Israel and Iran. It's about the Middle East. It's about the whole world, to be frank. And from the onset, Turkey, President Erdogan and Foreign Minister Fidan, as well as most of the countries in the region and beyond, have been talking, the counterparts have been talking to each other to de-escalate the situation. And they've been resorting to diplomacy in this sense. But we're seeing that Netanyahu is not listening to anyone because he wants to prolong this war in order to prolong his political career and to shift all the attention from the genocide that is happening in Gaza. And at this moment, Iran is stuck. They can't go back. They will try to go back to diplomacy. Actually, on Friday, they called an emergency meeting for the UN Security Council. And they've said on several occasions that if Israel stops, then we will be stopping. But otherwise, we will continue to fight until the end. So all sides are cautioning for restraint. That includes, of course, Russia and China. But I think what it boils down to is how President Trump will react and if he will stop Netanyahu, who seems to, because the stated goal of this whole military operation was to stop Iran from producing a nuclear weapon. But now we see that they have ulterior motives and regarding regime change. And I think this is very, very dangerous. And I don't think they're really calculating the consequences and the repercussions of a potential regime change in Iran and how that would actually affect the security of Israel and the political career of Netanyahu. So diplomacy, yes, is very much important. This Sunday, we will be hosting in Istanbul the foreign ministerial meeting of the OIC. So I'm hoping that President Trump will give diplomacy a chance tomorrow for the meeting tomorrow to see the outcome of the meeting tomorrow and what will come out of the meeting on Sunday in Istanbul.
And can you talk to us a little bit about that meeting of the OIC this weekend? What role could that organization play here in tempering down this conflict and possibly working out a solution?
Well, actually, your former guest said something very important. Many countries in the region don't like the destabilizing effect of Iran. But they also don't want a regime change in Iran at the moment. And if a regime change should come, it should be with the will of the people of Iran. All the countries in the region have condemned Israel for its attacks and have worked rigorously around the clock. As you've said, there are certain things that we know and certain things that we do not know. So I'm sure there's a lot of diplomacy going on the region to de-escalate the situation. So I'm hoping that there will be a very strong statement coming out of the meeting on Sunday regarding de-escalation and calling on, first and foremost, the United States to do its utmost to stop this ongoing conflict.
Thank you very much for your insight and thoughts. Gulru Gezer joining us there from Istanbul.